Right, on to the fun bit. We're going to introduce our guest speakers, our two guest speakers today, who we're so grateful have decided to spend some time with us on this session. Um, our first guest speaker is Niharika Baxler. She is a child development officer at UA. She goes by Niha. She's been working for young girls for a long time. She conducts life skills. She works with parents, community members, to create a positive experience. She also works with young leaders, particularly at UA, and she has completed the Child Safeguarding and Protection Program uh, by the United Nations, which is phenomenal for sports development and peace. She has trained extensively in gender, sexual, and reproductive health through various programs, and we are so grateful to have her with us today. Niha, thank you very much. If you're online, thank you very much for being with us. Our second speaker is Dr. Shilpa Sharma, and she is obviously CEO of Oscar Foundation. We're so glad to have you with us today. Dr. Sharma is an experienced consultant, and she has over a decade-long worth of experience in her career. She's got a PhD from Columbia University. She's also worked with social work. She's got qualifications from New York. She's worked with the Tata Institution of Social Sciences in Mumbai. She's worked in primary health as well as education. And she really is a believer that education is a good, successful tool of life. She constantly tries to bring awareness to equality and equity within gender issues uh, through the sports development program. So, Dr. Shilpa, we're very, very blessed to have you with us. Thank you very much. Um, we're gonna get into some, conversations about this topic, and we've tried to keep our guest speakers keeping on a theme. We know that the COVID pandemic has really kind of changed the way things are, and in talking about change, we wanted to think about changes that you're very proud of. What change are you most proud of, and what did you learn during this time? So Niha, we'll start with you. What has been one of the biggest changes you're most proud of creating?
Um, Hi everyone. Good evening. I'll go straight to the question. And one of the things which I feel really proud of within that community is the recognition of the females who are working hard. I feel this is very important for me because we all know that everyone works so hard, and especially in rural India, females are the one who are working really hard, like everywhere, but they never get recognition for that, um, or even a small appreciation. What I experienced that with education, with the girls and with the women we were working with, we saw that people started valuing them, people started listening to them, and that all happened because they were doing very simple things. Like, it's simple for me, but it wasn't simple for them. That they were able to read letters which were coming to their house, they were able to read newspapers, and these small changes were giving started getting respect from their families, from their neighbors, and it was a huge change because we have heard from so many girls that people around their house, they don't know their names. Sometimes their family members actually don't know their real names, and getting such recognition was one of the thing which I felt from inside, that is one of the most important thing and change I have experienced. And for the second question, I would like to say that being persistent and keep on doing what you are truly believing in without any doubt in yourself is definitely going to work out.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And what a powerful experience. Some things that perhaps we may take for granted, but just being able to read, just being able to understand what's going on, it just unlocks so much potential. It gives people a sense of worth, a confidence. that women need and deserve. So thank you for sharing that. Dr. Shilpa, on to you. You know, you obviously studied extensively personally. Um, you've worked in so many different areas. What change are you most proud of creating, and what did you learn whilst you were creating that change?
Thank you so much, for having me on this panel discussion. This is a topic really close to my heart. I really believe in the efficacy of education. And, I have seen through my career and, my studies as well, how, what an effective tool education is. We all have accepted here that education obviously is a great tool. Definitely there are gender issues that are around it. We've been trying to work very much on these things. I personally feel that women are very buoyant. They're very, they have so much resilience only because from the very beginning they have been working. They have to fight for everything from the day they are born. So that's the reason there is some innate resilience in them. And you just have to be a part of that change, where you have to just give that little push and they will flourish. So and in Oscar, we have worked with the communities. And from the very beginning, education was such an important part of our programs. We had the saying going that no school, no football. So that connection was there from the very beginning. People associated that if we want, I mean, it was for the children, but parents also understood that getting the children to the football ground meant also to send them to school. So we created that connection between sports and education. And through our constant work with the communities, now the community members have become the champions of Oscar. And whenever we have a program, we have so much support, so much love from within the communities. It just talks about what kind of work, what kind of impact we have had on them and they have had on us. So
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that change.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you know, there's a saying that comes from Africa, which is the continent that I'm from, that says it takes a village to raise a child, right? Or a community to raise a child. And what you're speaking about, that engagement with the community, is equally, if not as important, to get their buying, and also for them to trust you with their children, and for you to want to outreach to them in that way. So it's really powerful to listen to the work that you're doing with the communities, and we just congratulate and celebrate the work that's going on there. In terms of your personal educational journey, the things that you've done personally, I'll start with you, Dr. Shilpa. What would you say is one of the highlights of your personal educational journey, and why?
So my journey, so I had I acknowledge my privilege because I was born in a certain family that allowed me to choose subjects of my liking, fields of my choice, and that allowed me to make many decisions around my education. Personally, I studied in India and then went to New York to study further. During this process, I realized I had the opportunity to meet so many interesting people and learn from them. In my journey, I realized that there is no final point of education.
Yeah,
It is lifelong learning. And it, as you pointed earlier, Lola, that it's not just a degree that you learn from. You learn from life experiences. You learn from other people's experiences. And so I really believe that during this process, every point of our lives, we are constantly learning. All we have to do is be open to this learning, be greedy about learning. Be always asking questions. Initially, when I started studying, I was always in the mode of just listening and not asking so many questions. But there was a point in my higher education when I was encouraged to ask questions. At that point, I was not sure what kind of questions to ask. So it was surprising for me. But that push to ask questions really helped me in building my confidence, opening my eyes to learning, and being curious about things. So I feel in learning you have to be really, really greedy to always look for opportunities to learn.
I love that. I love that. Being greedy about learning, taking it all in, making sure that we as coaches as well, and facilitators and educators and leaders, create an environment where girls feel that they can ask questions, that no question is a silly question. I think for coaches on the call right now, that's something that you ought to think about. Do you create an environment where girls feel comfortable asking questions, that they don't feel shy, or they don't feel that they're going to get shut down, that we encourage them, we push them to ask, and that kind of idea of being a student of life, learning throughout your life. There is no time where that slows down. In fact, I'm finding as I get older that I want more.
Yeah.
And I thought I wanted more when I was younger, but I want more in a different way. And so that's really, really interesting. Thank you for sharing. Niha, over to you. Like, your educational journey, what's a highlight, and why have you chosen to highlight that?
Yeah, so mine is kind of similar to Shilpi. So mine highlight was, yeah, definitely meeting people from different cultural background, because it gave me a whole new understanding of life. Definitely education, the formal education was there, and I studied computer science, but I'm not doing anything with computer science right now. I'm doing everything with development, which I experienced, felt, and wanted to do since my childhood, and what I learned more in my college days, because there I got chance to meet different people and got to know what everyone else is doing in their lives, how they are doing it. And it was really a um, big turning point in my life, because the people you meet there, they teach you so many things, and the learnings that you learn there, it goes a long way when you truly believe in them. And that's what I was my highlight, that um, meeting people from different cultural background and learning from them. um, this is something which is very close to me, because I very often give this example to kids who are very um, confused about their career, that sometimes they feel like they want to do something with engineering, sometimes they want to do something with some other career field, and it keeps changing. So I just want to say that it will change, and it will change until, like, you never know. And no, we should not worry. No, one should not worry about this, because I'm telling you, like, I was crazy about computers, and I seriously, like, at this point of my life, I never thought that I will do anything without computers. And look at me, like, I'm nowhere close to, like, doing what I have studied in my colleges. So yeah,
Yeah,
keep learning from what's around you. Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
love that.
that's all.
I love
I
that. And
just I
go
just
go
want to
ahead.
add a little bit to what Niharika is saying. I also realize that uh, as the world keeps changing, jobs of tomorrow will change. So it's not necessarily that what you learned yesterday would, be enough for you. So, like Niharika said, she found something of her liking later on in her life, and so that upskilling portion, that, constantly learning, has to be there to be more open to the jobs of the future and careers of the future.
Yeah, and I also have, like, personally, that experience, Nihar, of, I studied law, I trained as a lawyer. I thought that that would be the end of my life, and then suddenly I'm now in sports development, football. It's so different, but I realized that no educational opportunity is lost. Even though this isn't a law field, the skills that I have, talking, presenting, typing, writing, still is applicable to what I'm doing now. And so even if you don't end up doing the thing that you started out with, there are still what we call transferable skills, skills that you learn in one area that you can bring to another area. And so I remember being at most of your girls' age thinking, what am I going to do? And putting so much pressure to have it all figured out. And actually, you just need to begin somewhere, and life will have a way of throwing you into different areas, and you'll naturally be able to say, this is something that I'm interested in, this is something that I like. And again, I echo your sentiments, Dr. Shilpi, in the sense that I come from a place of privilege, and have been able to live on 6 of the 7 continents in the world, and that in itself is a learning process. Meeting people, to Neha's point, traveling and experiencing cultures, that's also part of learning. And it doesn't have to be different continents. It can be the difference from Mumbai to Delhi to Bangalore. There's different cultures in there that you can collaborate with. And we want to encourage that with our sports development organizations, into collaboration. The girls that may be in a remote part of somewhere, and the other people that are in the city, that's 2 different life experiences. And so there's so much power that we can have by learning and exchanging in that way. So yeah, appreciate that. I'm gonna ask a question, to either of you who wants to answer, and it's about being a leader in your sport development organization. We're in the pandemic. What has the pandemic taught you about the power of education, in this pandemic time? And how is your organization playing a role in the children, girls, boys that you teach? How are you supporting them in their education? Anyone, either one of you can chip in on this question.
Yeah, I'd like to go first.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, it was difficult for every one of us in the beginning, but we were not in a position to drop it or leave it at any point, because we were in charge of their education, and we have taken this responsibility. So even if there were like billions of challenges, it was in our head that we want to do this, no matter what is going to happen. Most of the challenges are very common, which like most of the people, especially in villages, kids are facing, students are facing, is the accessibility to the resources to do online classes, because everything turned online suddenly. Especially in rural areas, there were issues with connectivity, with power, with right devices. And there were families where we had issues with people who have knowledge to use these applications where we are conducting classes. But we were getting like constant calls from students that they still want to do the classes, because that's the one thing which give them outlet from all negative things happening around them, because people were losing job and staying home, and home environment was getting worse. So yeah, we started, we applied few of the strategies to make it possible. Few 3-4 months were struggling, but then teachers started using multiple platform. Maybe if Zoom is not working for someone, maybe Classroom is not working for someone, they will keep trying switching on different applications, so that they don't miss out with students with the classes. And because this is not something which is very convenient, and y- like it was hard to keep them attentive in the classes, in online classes. So it were teachers who were being so creative to make them available and attentive for the classes. We got few cases where kids were very blunt, saying that they don't like online classes, they cannot pay attention, or they don't have that environment back in the home where they can pay attention, because there are like so many people always around. They cannot say what they wanted to say. So these are like issues keep coming on. Like if we are solving one issue, like we are solving issues with devices. We got few devices from donation, because there were families who were not able to afford devices. Then when this device issue got solved, then there were problem with connectivity. So problems were like always keep coming. And troubleshooting was one of the thing that we had to do, and we were doing that. The most important thing which worked with us was working with parents more than students that time, because we realized in 10 years that if parent is able to understand that this is important for their child and this is something which is going to give result to them and their child, they do anything to make that possible. So that was the one trick we used, that we started connecting more with parents and making them understand how this is, because they thought that online class is not the actual class.
Mm,
Definitely it wasn't the actual class, but they thought this is not something which is giving them education. They thought they are looking at mobile phone means they are having fun, they are not learning anything, this is not study, this is not how to study. So and in the beginning we didn't get this, but slowly once we picked that this might be the problem, we started having really deep and regular and constant conversation to make them understand that this is actual classes going on. So
yeah.
in the beginning, yeah, we asked mothers to join the classes so that they can actually see in
I-
online classes what they are learning.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
And
That's
then we also made them go through the test once, and it was really tough for them. And then that's how they got to understand that they're actually learning, and this is actually more tough than the actual classes the kids are doing in a regular school. So I think this is one of the most important learning we had in this pandemic with our education program, is what I'll say. Yeah.
Thank you, Nihan. Thank you for sharing that. And I love the idea of engaging parents in this so that they understand that it's not just play, like this is important stuff, and it's going to be benefiting their child as well. Um, Dr. Shilpi, yeah, we talked about the pandemic, we've talked about how disruptive it's been. Um, what has it taught your organization about the power of education, and how has that and your organization played a role in the participants that you serve, um, and if there has been any serious disruption caused by the pandemic to their education, could you share about that too?
Sure. So, Lola, like everybody over here, this unprecedented disruption and then subsequent lockdowns, caused many of these already marginalized communities to the brink of poverty. And,
Yeah,
ration was something that, was their immediate need. So at Oscar, we had to take a hard look at our program and see how we can, support the communities. Sports for development will happen only when there is food to eat on the plates for these communities. So we immediately sprang into action, and for the better part of the first lockdown, we were doing ration distribution. And through that ration distribution, what really happened was our teams really got connected to the parents, to the beneficiaries, and they created this strong bond with the community. The
yeah,
community also saw what Oscar was doing and how it was responding, so that bond was created. We started, because we were also in the learning phase. Nobody in this world knew how what was the right thing to do, right, at that time. So we started, we started a WhatsApp program engaging children through WhatsApp activities, because we did not want to leave. We understood the value of education, because as you rightly mentioned, 10 million girls will not go back to school. These were statistics that we all know. So we were very worried about the gap that will come in their education system, considering online was not everybody's cup of tea. We wanted to support, so we started these WhatsApp activities where our teachers and coaches would send some educational material, and then we would encourage students to send back things to us, and just to be connected. At some point we realized that we have to do more than what it is happening, because in this process girls were getting missed out, as
yeah,
Niharika and everybody else has pointed, that if there is one phone in the household, then that phone is obviously going to go to the boy. And once the lockdowns opened up, parents I mean, the father would take the phone away, so the girls or the boys did not have phones at home. So we were also struggling with the infrastructural issue. Thankfully, we have DLC centers, digital learning centers, so we had computers. We have a curriculum that goes through these centers. However, we opened up these digital learning centers for a part time for these children to come and study. And what we also additionally did was to provide them links to whatever was being taught in the class. So, our teams created this ready repository of, support resources, supports material that
Right.
was available and accessible through our online platforms.
Amazing.
But what was most humbling was that many things worked, some things did not work, and our children made sure that we know those things don't work. So we were open to listen to that. We would do some capacity building workshops, and our young leaders would say that no, it's not working, it won't work in the community. So I
Yeah.
feel that's the power that we have. We take pride in that our young leaders are confident to tell things that are not working. They feel that connection with us.
Yeah, and that's important. That feedback is important, and that's why we're having sessions like today, so that a girl can share their project and there's feedback. Yeah, that's gonna work. No, that's not gonna work, and that creates collaboration. And just like you say, strengthening those ties in the community. I just, I'm so grateful for the work that both of you are doing with your respective organizations, reaching out to girls and boys, and we're just so thankful to have you as part of the Girls for Girls network. I just want each of you to give a very short snip summary and takeaway, any advice or words of encouragement that you can give to the girls that are on screen at the moment. Dr. Shilpi, we can start with you. Just the last minute wrap up before we move on.
I would just say that, be greedy, put yourself first. Because for long, girls have, always kept others and others' needs in front. I think it's time that we put ourselves first.
I love that. I love that. And Neha, how about you? You're on mute at the moment. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're on mute.
Hey, yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. So I would like to say that, yeah, life is all about learning and also unlearning. We'll keep learning things, and we'll have to keep unlearning things if they are not working for you, if they are bothering you, if that's a trouble for you. Just be creative with your life. Don't shy, and just shine. That's all.
Love it. Love it. Life is about learning and unlearning. I couldn't agree with that more. We will share the social media handles of both of you, and encourage the girls, if they have anything that they want to share and ask, that they can reach out to you guys directly. Thank you so much for your time. We're very, very, very grateful to have you both here. um this marks the end of a quick session. It goes so quickly, doesn't it? Time flies when you're having fun, that's what they say. So I hope that that's an indication that all of you have enjoyed yourself. I definitely have.